All right, just first off, just hearts and our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go out to Virginia. You're reminded every day, unfortunately, of how fragile this life is, and when you're surrounded by 18 to 22-year-old young men every single day. I tell them, I'm not afraid to tell my players I love them. I tell them every meeting. I end every special teams meeting with "I love you." I hope my players feel that. I hope our players feel that. I think they know it's genuine and it's true. But we don't know what kind of difficult tasks those guys are facing. It's bigger than the game. And so, in my opinion, I get it. You guys measure us by wins and losses, but I'm more concerned about the impact that we're making on these guys' lives. And I just can't imagine what they're going through. And I'm even thinking about Ronnie, and just praying for him. And like I said, just condolences to their staff and the university as well and the families affected. But I want to just, we're disappointed, obviously, in where we're at. And it starts with me, and it's inconsistency across the board. Got to be better at making sure our guys understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish within the kicking game. But I also want to recognize, a couple guys that have done just a standout job. And I'm going to start with Chuck, and I don't know, who makes the decisions on things, but I think Chuck was cheated out of the Groza semifinalist. He's 68 for 68 career PATs, never missed one. He's an 80% field goal kicker in his career. He was twice this year the Groza Star of the Week. And I just feel for him because he works his tail off, and I get it. You don't get second place trophies and those things, but that young man deserves a recognition. And I think all of his teammates would agree, and we believe that he's the best kicker in the Big Ten. And, I get that he's not measured by those things, but I think he deserves some recognition. And then you look at the year that James is having and how much he's improved. And I think, even ourselves as coaches, we take for granted what those guys go through and the stage that they're on. The margin of error that they have at their position is zero. And I think he's just done an unbelievable job. I think you guys have seen the tremendous improvement that he's made. He leads the country and punts down inside the 10. He leads the country now and punts down inside the 20. And you want to talk about field position and providing the winning edge, which is what we preach every day. He's doing that for us. And there's 10 other guys on the field going to cover that thing and make sure that thing, you saw the effort from Taiwan and Jay Will against Penn State. I mean, outstanding effort and execution on those punts down on the 1 and the 2. So it's a team effort, but James has made himself a weapon for us that we need to continue to utilize. With that being said, I'll open it for questions.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Matt.
Snapper is one of those positions where you only get talked about when you make a mistake, and fortunately, Sean has not been talked about at all this year. He's been really dependable. I guess just talk about working with him and how nice it is to have a guy that you can lean on and trust and know that every day he's going to show up and basically be almost perfect.
Yeah, and that's, again, you take it for granted, and like you just said, Matt, the only time Sean Ratcher gets noticed if he screws up. And you guys probably haven't noticed him. That's a good thing. And, we are so fortunate. I've said it since the day I was hired. He's the best long snapper in the country. I'll stand by that. I've said it every year. I say it every year in my opening press conference at the beginning of the season. He's so consistent. And you know how you know that by asking James and Charles. Charles and I had this conversation yesterday about Sean and just how comfortable he is that he's like, I don't see laces. So to a kicker, just so you guys understand, if they see laces on the hole, that's an issue, right? Well, Sean makes James's job so easy. All James has to do is catch it and put it down. And all Chuck's got to do is kick it because there's no laces back. We don't have to spin the football. And that is critical for our timing, our operation, the success of the field goal unit. And that Chuck thinks about those things. And as a kicker, having a snapper that is going to put it on the money and he's not going to see laces, those are NFL-type snaps. And we grade him on that every single week. We grade him on, whether laces, were they quarters, were they not. And again, he's, like I say, he's the best in the country. And then just you look at the directional things that we do punt-wise, how often we shift Jim and move him off a spot and overload situations and out of the pocket. And Sean can put it wherever he needs, wherever Jimmy needs it. So, and again, that just got to make James's life so much easier, knowing, hey, the ball's going to be where I need it to be, so he can get in his rhythm and do what he does. And you look at, I think Sean, I think it's 43 career starts, So, 43 consecutive career starts, and so just the longevity that he's had, and, we're obviously, like I said, he's the best at what he does, and he's gotten a lot better in coverage. He's had a few tackles this year as well, which is going to help him as he wants to pursue snapping in the NFL. It's going to help him. We've used it in protection a few times this year, which we have never done. So, just having the ability to have a guy that can do all those things makes my job and our specialists a lot easier.
Obviously, they've gotten a lot more opportunities this year for bad reasons. But the punter, James Evans, has had a ton of opportunities. And with those added opportunities, how have they dealt with the pressure of that? Because they're out there a lot more than they should be or need to be, but they've done, obviously, an outstanding job.
Yeah, and I think for James, he's going to embrace it because that's what we brought him here to do, just him understanding that that's his role on our football team, and when he's called upon, we need him to be his best. I know for James, after the first game this year, he was a lot more in tune. He was very excited because he was also our holder, and it helped him stay, just in lock of the game, right? I don't want to say he's losing focus, but, he's standing over there. We're scoring touchdowns. We're scoring points. He's got to run out, hold the PAT or the field goal, and then obviously, when called upon, punting as well. I think for him, he's staying ready. He understands the situations, that are presented to him. And as even as our offense moves the ball and we get into those situations where we're going to try to down it inside the 10, him understanding just the flow in the game. And that's how, his IQ has continued to evolve as well, coming from a country and never playing football before last year at Iowa. So he's understanding just the flow of the game and the situations, which is critical as well. But he does a great job. He's into the game. You can walk up to him. You can talk to him. He's standing on the sideline. He's talking to Sean. He's talking to Chuck. Those guys are constantly together on the sideline, and then he'll come up and talk to me about his thoughts. Hey, what if we run this? What if we kick this? Which I'm always open to suggestions and want to hear how those guys are, what they're seeing on the field as well as what I'm seeing from the sideline.
Coach, I know you also work pretty closely with the outside linebackers, and talking to Dasan earlier, he mentioned that the relationship that you two have specifically is really special. How have you seen him develop and kind of just your relationship between you two kind of grow over the season? Yeah,
and it comes down to trust. I think it goes back to, probably, I remember Dasan, my wife and I talk about this all the time when we were at the Pinstripe Bowl, and my wife at the time was my girlfriend, and so she was able to go to the game with us, and pop-ups will get you. But so I remember, long story short, I remember Dasan being a little guy running around, right? And he remembers me being a graduate assistant on his dad's staff, and working close with Coach McCullough, and so I think it starts with just knowing each other over time. But I also think he knows he trusts me. All right, and so that is something that is built over time. That isn't something that is just, hey, I'm going to come in here. I'm a freshman All-American. I'm going to come in here and it's. I got to show him why. We take the extra time. I think the things that Dasan doesn't get credit for is the hard work that he puts in that people don't see behind closed doors. He comes up in my office on Thursdays and we watch game tape together, just one-on-one. And he comes up and he wants it. Hey, Coach, we need to watch some tape. Great, let's go. And so that time spent together behind closed doors that no one else knows about or no one else sees is able to us to form that relationship. I trust him. He trusts me. And I think at the end of the day, that's how you're going to be able to form a great bond, and he's going to do what we're asking him to do. And again, I'm not afraid to ask him too. He's on the field. Hey, what did you see here? And I have to trust him, and then we can make adjustments off of that. We try to obviously put him in specific situations because of his skill set. And I think, he understands what we're asking him to do, and that's critical and vital as well. So just the relationship piece that we've had probably over the course of time with our families and the trust that we built in those one-on-one meetings and sitting down and talking through our game plans and making sure he's comfortable with what we're going to ask him to do.
Coach, with DJ dealing with injuries this season, Connor Delp has got a lot of opportunities to return punts. I guess, what have you just seen out of his development from the time he got here? How would you evaluate kind of the job he's done so far this season returning punts?
Yeah, and that position, it does not get enough recognition and credit. It's difficult to do. And when you play against the punters in the Big Ten, I mean, look at the top 10 punters in the country. I think there's probably 4 out of the Big Ten, and we're not even counting James. So, and we're going to play the number 1 this week, right? But you look at a guy like Corsack at Rutgers, who rolls right, punts right, rolls left, punts right-footed, but punts left. I mean, it's unbelievable, the thing that these guys do. So you got to have a guy back there that's savvy, is comfortable fielding those footballs. And not everybody, it's not a skill for everybody. We've put a lot of different guys back there throughout practice, and to Connor's credit, he was the most comfortable, the most savvy, smooth, knock on wood, and has not dropped a ball, right? So, he understands those situations. Now, I think throughout the season, he's gained more confidence. We threw him out there early, and he had some headlights, looks to him. But, that's every young guy's going to have those situations. And you're standing back there by yourself 45, 50 yards away from everybody, and everybody in the stadium's watching you. But he handles it because he's confident in his technique. He's confident in his ability, just as we are as coaches, and that's why I put him back there all the time. Just got to continue to learn, continue to teach him situational football, and grow him through that way.
With Deshaun, obviously he's been an impact this year. He's been a guy that's been a playmaker. I'm sure teams are starting to game plan or scheme or do things to try to take him away. Kind of two-part. What do you guys as a staff have tried to do to maybe get him in a position where he can keep doing what he's doing? And then what have you kind of worked on him with to try to identify when teams are doing this and what he can do to counteract it?
Yeah, and you're totally right. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it on defense and you're seeing it on special teams. He's starting to get double team on kickoff, so I got to move him around on that. Same thing we're doing on defense. We're moving around different places, trying to use him in different situations. But I think he's recognized it as well, and he knows he's got to continue to build his arsenal and his pass rush moves, how he's setting up the run, disguises. So when we're using to the field, hey, I need you to look like this whether you're in coverage or you're blitzing. And that's, again, coming down to those one-on-one meetings that we're having together, have him understand the scheme. Hey, look, this is how we got to free you up. We got to get this quarterback thinking you're playing man-to-man on 2, or you're dropping in zone coverage, and then all of a sudden, as a snap, boom, he's taking off and hitting it. So he watches a ton of film. Like his film study habits for a freshman are incredible. Probably some of the best I've seen, to be honest with you, for a young guy because he cares so much. And so I think he picks up on little things like the tackles of the quarterbacks and the timing, and so he can stem and move around and put himself in a better position because teams are literally pointing at him and sliding protection his way. But if he can disguise it and they don't think he's involved in any sort of pressure or man coverage or zone or whatever it may be, if he can disguise that and kind of play with those guys' minds, it'll free him up, which it has a couple times. Like I said, you guys have probably seen him more in the box the last couple of weeks. And that's by design as well because we think he's got a great savviness to him and a feel. And we just, hey, look, you can go here, you can go here, you can go here, you can do these different things. And then we game plan it based off the protection that we think we're going to get on third down and try to cut him loose.
I noticed at Ohio State, Trent Holland was warming up with the Bulls with Lance and Deshaun and Miles. I guess, is he making the move full-time to defense? And if so, what kind of went into that move?
Yeah, I don't know if it's full-time, but it's a position of need for us right now. And he's a physical, and he's a big guy, and we were a little banged up, and we were moving. Lance and Miles were playing end, and I needed some depth in the room. And so, an unselfish player that he is, and he knew that there's an opportunity for him to possibly get some defensive work in and just help him with his skill set too, because I was using him on kickoff. And, hey, look, now you can come get some extra tackling work, but just the body type, the frame that he has, and the athleticism that we're looking for at that position, he's a great addition there. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a full-time move or not. Those are things that we'll reevaluate when the season's over. Pete.
Kasey, how are you?
How you doing, brother?
Good, good. Can you talk a little bit about Alfred Bryant and the development you've seen from him and where you think he can lead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you watch him, he's having a great year. He really is, and I don't think, the position that he plays, and we're asking him to play. He's played 3 different positions on our line so far this year. He's played nose, end, and bull. And just the IQ that he has and the understanding allows us to do that and move different people around and free up Deshaun or Miles and James Head and different guys. So those aren't in the stats, but that's a tribute to how great of a development he has had. I think he's attacked the offseason. I think he studies the game more than he has in the past. Pass rush-wise, he's giving us a huge element. He doesn't always get the sack, but he's forcing the issue back to Desan. He's making teams have to worry about him and Zero at the same time, and I think that's going to be critical. And if teams are starting to move towards Desan, well, now Lance can get your one-on-one like you saw against Penn State on the up and under. So it allows us to do a lot of different things with him, but it's a tribute to him and his hard work and the film that he's watching, the pass rush work that he gets after practice. And then the ability for him to have a full grasp and understanding of the defense itself, how the fronts fit together. It really is incredible that I can go, hey, go play this position. Do you have any questions about it? Nope, I'm good. Boom, he goes and executes. I mean, we're asking him to do a lot of stuff, and it is different, field and boundary and playing in the inside. So, like I said, a tribute to him, and yeah, his development's been awesome. I'm praying for him that it gets him an opportunity at a camp. He wants to further his career. This is the healthiest he's ever been. Knock on wood again, right? It's the healthiest he's ever been, and he's having a good year, and I think teams are definitely taking notice.
Kind of sticking on that theme with development, Charles kind of really burst onto the scene nationally in 2020. Where have you kind of seen him grow and develop as he's continued to kind of just make a name for himself and establish himself here?
Yeah, for sure. And I think for him it's you look at the kick against Western Kentucky, right? I mean, there's no one else that we want to have out there in that situation. And obviously we lost yards, right, and made the kick more difficult on him. And I don't remember if I was interviewed or not, but I told somebody, he went up to me and goes, nope, doesn't matter. Boom. 51-yarder, game-winner field goal against Western Kentucky, going 4-4. He's 8-8 in his career versus Western Kentucky. All right? So, 2 games, he's 8-8. I mean, that's impressive, right? So, I think but overall, his confidence level, he has gotten a lot better at kickoffs, which, obviously I'm using him a lot more this year. And when we needed him, he put some in the end zone when I asked him to. Not everyone is back there like we'd like, and I think, as the weather changes too, balls aren't going to carry as far. But he's accurate where I need the ball to be placed. He puts it there. So I think, he's done a tremendous job of just, continue to evolve his, his skill set there in the kickoff game. And then, he'll tell you, we always joke about it, but he'll tell you pre-game, pre-practice, hey, I'm good from 70. So, I don't know we're going to kick 70-yard field goals, but he'll tell you every pregame, nope, good from 70. All right, Chuck. All right, 55 it is, So, and he can make those 55-yarders. You all have seen him, but that's what you got to love. You got to have a guy with that kind of confidence. You got to have a guy at that position that's going to walk out there and own the field and not worry about all the other, stuff that's going on. He's going out to do his job. And if you look at NFL careers and you look at some of the best kickers of all time in history, they're right around 80%. Career kickers. Like Vinatieri and those guys are right around 83, 82%. Chuck's at 81. So, when you look at the total body of work, like I said, and, just how long he's been doing it for us and how clutch he is and how clutch he's been for us. And we want him to make every single one, sure, and he does too. But, nobody's perfect, and he just does an unbelievable job every day, and we see it in practice every day.